Alright, now we're here. Good evening, everybody. How's it going? Oh, we should turn on the lights because we did fix up the lighting situation here. Okay, there we go. Alrighty. Good evening, everybody. Welcome aboard the American Rail Club. It is our New Year's Eve stream. We can call it that way. How y'all doing tonight? It's gonna be a nice, chill, comfy stream. Just a couple things we'll go over. Then everybody get back to your family or get back to doing whatever you were doing the evening before New Year's Eve. It is your host and conductor here, Demetrius Villa. Hope you're all doing well and you're going to have a nice, comfy little time. But first, before we start the stage, let's go ahead and get Discord going over here. There we are. Start the event here. There we are. I hope everyone here in Discord land can also hear me too. Everyone out there. Hello, Renell Reed. Hello, Heartless Fiend. Osman Hussein from Cupertino, California. We're sure to know that you're from Cupertino, California. Hope you all are doing well there on YouTube, Discord, wherever you're listening to this. Alright. Let's pause this music. Okay, but first, we have some happy news to close out this this year. Here we go. Let's Because guess what's dead? Guess what is dead? It's gone, folks. Hyperloop is dead. December 31st, 2023. The Virgin Hyperloop. The Virgin will shut down. Too bad, too sad. R.I.P. Bozo, you won't be missed. Oh man, I'm so glad to get rid of this red herring over into the next year. I'm so glad. Yeah, there we go. So let's just go over a couple articles and then we're gonna bring in everybody onto the stream and then we'll hopefully get this done before 9 o'clock. I think we did. Last stream was pretty good, but this is gonna be short, quick, to the point. Just one thing before we get started. Fortunately, I wasn't able to do any stream. I didn't have any time while I was down in Miami. I luckily did have a little bit of time to go and visit the Aventura station before we got summarily, I wouldn't say booted or kicked out, but kindly told not to film anymore. It was only for 5 minutes, but no worries. I didn't have time to actually ride on it, but the new video we're doing will still go on. It's mainly about Vegas anyway, but we still have to talk about Brightline in Florida. But anyway, speaking of, this is all connected because A, the Virgin Hyperloop system was testing near Las Vegas. B, Virgin tried to rename Brightline when it had a bit of a controlling stake in it. Not really a controlling stake, but had some sort of naming rights convention to it. We're not quite sure exactly what the deal was, but they wanted to rename it Virgin Trains USA, but now they're getting complete egg on their face now. So millions of dollars building a test track. All of that, and it will be dead by the end of the year, gone. While the closure isn't necessarily a death sentence for the concept as a whole, we've been over this plenty of times. I mean, I think this was the big one. It's dead. It is dead. Let's see. Yeah, released a concept paper describing it in 2013. So there we go. 10 years. 10 years. 10 years we've been at this. In 10 years, it is now gone. Finish. Dead. Muerte. It's gone. Mort. It's gone. The basic concept resembles the vacuum tubes that banks use for teller systems. It promised to reduce the time it takes to travel from Los Angeles to San Francisco in nearly 6 hours to just 45 minutes. It was all, you could say, a pipe dream. But now it's gone. It's dead. So Hyperloop One, perhaps one of the most well-known companies for taking a shot at creating a functional Hyperloop system, and it's had a rocky history. It has had all of them. And you can learn more about that on our video explaining about the Hyperloop and its issues. Our 2 videos, and then we'll do one last video to just hammer it down and end it. That's it. It's not going to come back. This hopefully will not be some sort of zombie technology. It's gone. It's dead. In its use of operation, Hyperloop One burned through hundreds of millions of dollars that led to building a test track outside of Las Vegas. PC Mag was on hand in 2016 for the first public test of the propulsion system, basically driving a sled into dirt. It also tested Hyperloop pods filled with cargo. And then 2020, it ran its first and only pod test with humans, but instead of traveling large distances at hundreds of miles per hour, the test only reached 100 miles per hour and lasted just 5 seconds. So something you can do on the highway. By the way, we do not neither condone nor condemn if you were to reach 100 miles an hour on the highway. That is yours to deal with our boys in blue, the blue. So deal with that what you will. But yeah. The company will shut down on December 31st, tomorrow. There's always tomorrow. Hyperloop One has already laid off most of its employees, leaving only a few to manage asset sales. And even those remaining members will still be out of the job on December 31st. After all that, remaining property will be transferred to DP World. As of today, no full-scale, I think that's a freight company if I'm not mistaken. As of today, no full-scale Hyperloop system exists in the world and probably will not. Elon Musk did help create a track in California, but that's also gone. His Boring Company, which initially promised to help bring about Hyperloop, is now focused on creating Tesla tunnels instead. So, there you go. It's gone. It's dead. One more time. There we go. I will drink to that. Okay. And let's round off the year. Mass Transit came out with a slideshow of the top 10 rail articles of 2023. I thought that'd be interesting. So let's go ahead and start the slideshow. Again, I honestly think that this year was a good year. Probably one of the best years for rail transit in a long time. I would say since maybe around 2018 or so. 2018, 2019. I mean, this has been a pretty good year. Okay, I will say we got Brightline going, which this slideshow will mention. There's been a massive influx of money and investment and funding into passenger rail systems. So honestly, I think this is good. Let's just say that 2024 could be or could not be a good year. I'm not quite as optimistic because it is in fact an election year, and there's a lot of screwery that could happen. Not to say the other word. There's a lot of screwy things that can happen. Some sort of black swan event. I don't know. The last time we had 2020, we had the event that shall not be named. That happened. So hopefully something does not upend all the progress that's been going on. I know I say that, but I am extremely cautiously optimistic for next year. Again, I hope I don't have to exercise so much caution, or all of us do, but it's just what it is, right? We have to be realistic with how the way things are going, okay? Oh, man, but here we go. So let's go. LA Metro opens regional connector. The Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authority celebrated the opening of the Regional Connector Transit Project at the Japanese American National Museum on June 16th. The opening ceremony, emceed by actor trustee chair emeritus and Jan M founding member George Takei, featured musical performances, a special plaque unveiling in honor of former U.S. Secretary of Transportation and Japanese American National Museum Board of Trustee Chair Norman Y. Mineta. The plaque will be installed at the new Little Tokyo Arts District station. So there we go. That's one thing. Again, expansions. And of course, this is the biggest story of this year. Brightline connects Miami to Orlando. The 235-mile line can be traveled in 3.5 hours, but more importantly, delivered on the promise of what the future passenger rail could be in the United States, especially between city pairs that are too far to drive and too short to fly. This was the big thing this year. Again, this is why I'm optimistic about the way things are going. Okay, this is the big thing that really got this channel started, right? When it was all aboard Florida, we were still talking about it, and then we covered it, and within the 10 years, and it will be 10 years that this club has been in service come 2024. So we will have a 10-year anniversary, something like that, to also go on about. So that will be good. But let's keep this going. Skyline's opening brings rail transit to Honolulu. This was a project that was kind of a mess. I believe it took like 16 years to get this thing really going, but you guys can correct me in the comments or comment later. If you want to join on to the Discord stream, the link is in there below. Or it's pinned. It's pinned on the comments. We should start in about 15 minutes or so, no later than 8:25 to get the audience going in. So hang in tight, everybody there in the Discord stream. We'll get you in there. Honolulu's mostly elevated autonomous rail system, Skyline, officially opened for service on June 30th. The first phase of the project will shuttle riders along an 11-mile segment and serve 9 stations between Kualakai, I'm not good with Hawaiian names, Kapolei Station, and Halawa, Aloha Stadium Station. This story was one of Mass Transit's top articles of 2023. Okay. California High-Speed Rail Authority releases plans for California's first electrified train set. So yes, they brought out some new 3D models. Again, 3D modeling sketches and virtual simulation of California's first electrified train sets, as opposed to the old ones that had that old TGV system from like back in 2012 or something like that. Some refreshed looks at future high-speed rail stations in the Central Valley in October 2023. This work is part of ongoing stakeholder engagement, focus groups, and community workshops that will continue to refine the designs in the months ahead. As California High-Speed Rail prepares to launch high-speed rail passenger service between Merced and Bakersfield, they don't even have a date now. It's 2030 and 2033, so it's between. You never know, 2030, 2033, maybe 2043? I don't know. Let's see. We never know. We never know. It's just, we'll keep in track with what's going on there. Again, as we always say on this channel, we wish California the best. We just wish it wasn't this hard, this ridiculously expensive that this project has been going on and attracting, I would say at this point, more negative attention than positive attention. But we'll see. That can all change, especially with next year. If everything goes according to plan, that Brightline West will indeed be breaking ground in the construction of its Las Vegas to Victorville, the Victor Valley high-speed rail project, which will technically be the first real true high-speed rail system and California's high-speed rail system. So that'll be funny. SEPTA awards $714.2 million to contract Alstom for new trolleys. That's pretty expensive, but hey, 130 trolleys and includes an option for 30 additional rail vehicles. So hey, that's not bad. So that's Southeastern Pennsylvania Transit Authority, if you guys didn't know that. That will see the authority replace its entire fleet of aging trolleys with fully ADA-compliant vehicles. So that's good. At least we're going into the future for SEPTA here. St. Louis to Chicago Amtrak trains start 110-mile-an-hour operation. So that's higher speed rail in a sense. June 2023, various federal, state, and local officials joined Amtrak and other stakeholders at Chicago Union Station to celebrate the start of 110-mile-an-hour service between St. Louis, Missouri, and Chicago, Illinois. Amtrak's state-supported Lincoln service train on June 26 was the first train to make the trip between the two cities at higher speeds. The 110-mile-an-hour service will save passengers 15 minutes versus the previous speeds of 90 miles an hour and 30 minutes on the corridor's initial speeds of 79 miles an hour before track signaling and other enhancements to improve train speeds began. So that's good. You know, things are speeding up for everybody everywhere. So, Bi-State Development advances proposed North-South Metrolink expansion, allowing the agency to pursue the planning and development of a proposed expansion of the Metrolink station that will connect neighborhoods near the fairgrounds to Gravois Park and Dutchtown. The Jefferson Alignment Metrolink expansion was previously explored with the city of St. Louis, Missouri, as part of the North Side South Side Metrolink expansion, which saw the city analyze various transit options along a north-south corridor, following by a more robust North Side South Side Metrolink corridor study. So, you know, again, that's a good thing. You know, with Amtrak doing its thing over here to connect to St. Louis, and St. Louis doing its own thing to connect over and connect throughout the city, you do need that sort of connection and last mile transportation service. Over to our friends at the north. In July, work began on the Metrolink's Ontario line and the Lakeshore East Rail Corridor, bringing transit upgrades to neighborhoods and surrounding the sites of the future East Harbor, Riverside, Leslieville, and Girard stations. FRA, this was, I would say, one of the other bigger things too. The FRA awards $8.2 billion in funding for passenger rail projects through 2 grant programs. Details of a combined $8.2 billion award in December through the Federal State Partnership for Intercity Passenger Rail, Fed State National Program, and the Corridor Identification and Development Corridor ID Program. The two grant programs support advancing several passenger rail projects in the U.S. Again, I'm cautiously optimistic about this. It is good that they did give money to Brightline West and some other projects as well. So this is a good thing. Overall, it's a good thing. At least our money is being spent finally somewhere here in the United States rather than being blown up somewhere in a sand bin or blown up somewhere in some Eastern European nation that the majority of us don't have an interest in. So the Portal North Bridge project reaches 25% completion. In August, Amtrak and New Jersey Transit and JT shared the construction on the Portal North Bridge had reached a 25% completion over the summer. The Portal North Bridge is a key Phase 1 project in the Gateway program. Will create a modern, high-level, fixed-span structure to replace the century-old Portal Bridge, a movable swing-span bridge that creates a major bottleneck along the Northeast Corridor. The project remains on schedule and on budget, so they say, with a target completion date expected in late 2027. So that's good. That is a good thing. And again, so things have been moving, and things have been moving in the right direction. And I think where people are moving is also saying a lot, because right now the number one city where people want to move into the United States, I think that was a pretty good segue to what we're talking about, is Las Vegas. And we've talked about Vegas plenty of times before, because that's where Brightline West is going to be starting their main station out for Brightline West to connect more or less to Los Angeles. So this is a big deal. Why do so many people want to move to Las Vegas? Tourists know Las Vegas for its bright lights, gaming, and star-studded shows, but like a lot of cities, the experience for the locals is far different. There's a lot more to Vegas than just the Strip, says realtor Michael Bondi, who's lived in the area for almost 20 years. The only time I go down the Strip as a local is if there's a concert, a sporting event, or a restaurant I want to go to. So again, Nevada's one of the fastest growing states. It's much more affordable than California. There's many more jobs. The quality of life is better. Again, I'm not a fan of the desert, but some people like it. The climate is, I will say, probably a lot more easier to deal with than probably being in the Midwest or somewhere up north. But hey, it's what it is. So more comfortable temperatures. And there are other places where people are looking forward to moving toward. And this is where we're talking about connecting city pairs and expanding rail is going to be very important. Now, on the top other 10 cities, Phoenix, Arizona, Tampa, Florida. Again, another very important point in Florida. Most cities are in Florida, as you can see. They're out of these top 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them are in Florida. So that's Tampa, Florida, Orlando, Florida, North Port or Sarasota, Florida, and Miami, Florida. As expensive, and Cape Coral. But Miami is as expensive and as crazy as it is to live there. People are still moving there, the people with money, right? So there is very much still a demand for people moving down to the state of Florida, which is why Brightline is very much going to be an extremely successful company, given time and given more expansions and given as people start to become more used to riding the train. And then the other cities are Sacramento, California, the larger city that's a little bit less expensive than some of the other ones. Dallas, Texas, Houston, Texas, as we talked about, the Texas Central Railway system that should have been being built by this point, or should have been built. That's where we're at with it. It is pretty good, I will say that. So the new ridership record hit 1 million passengers for the year, November 24th, exceeding the 2022 total of 846,622. So that's good. It's just showing that things are expanding. As yes, maybe ridership wasn't as good as it would have been at the beginning, but it is starting to expand. And again, after 2020, you can't really count some of those numbers. I would say past 2022, 2023 is probably the good year to start really picking up and focusing on numbers of where things are headed, right? So that's a good thing. Whereas in other places in the world, new high-speed trains set to connect two countries. The time seems to be ripe for the restoration of a cross-border service. And this is between Italy and Slovenia, I believe. Yes, Slovenia's capital, Ljubljana. I believe that's how it's pronounced. I probably messed that up terribly. But anyway, it's Italy's primary train operator, Trenitalia, is testing a new route that will connect Venice to neighboring Slovenia's capital. I'm not going to say that again to avoid butchering that name. The new service could begin as soon as April 2024 if Trenitalia decides to proceed. Again, they have the infrastructure already built. It's only a matter of should we use it or not. And that's the good thing. In April 2024, so practically 4 months from now, if they decide to go ahead and do it. Maybe a couple upgrades here and there, but you'll have service to connect to that. That's pretty shocking. Again, it's just showing the difference between how we're doing here in the United States, just starting out, and what can be done once we're able to have this infrastructure built out, developed, and put into service. And of course, the only issue is, here we are. Let's go ahead and see if I can bring this over here. Come on. Show me the comments. Show us the comments. Here we go. Oh boy. Here's you can tell already by the picture what you can expect. Cooldown seems to be a pro-train industry PR firm that is pushing pie-in-the-sky solutions for the U.S. Problem is the cost is enormous and the payback in the U.S. doesn't happen. So while everybody else is talking about, and again, this looks like a younger couple over here. So again, I'm telling you guys, it's much more, and it's unfortunate. It's much more of a generational issue here, and things are starting to turn to our direction. That's the way things are going to go. So it's just TikTok, Mr. Larson, TikTok, Mr. Steve. You can tell by the boomer expression on the face, that smug face. Look at that. Love this. Traveling on trains in Europe is wonderful. So there you go. Most people, again, support this. It's just only a few that are in power that it's making this a problem. Okay, and last thing, I know it's 8:25. Last thing, this is why we need to have real solutions, because the problem is you'll have stupid solutions like force use SUVs being compared to, quote, a personal bullet train, and it can give Elon Musk a run for his money. So, and unaffordable electric SUV that can drive you somewhere with only a 350-mile range. That's basically what they said. Touted. Ford higher-ups are describing the new SUV, which doesn't have yet a name and is set to be released in 2025 at a price point around $60,000. Probably when it does release, it will be somewhere around 80, 90, probably 100,000. Quote, as a personal bullet train. I doubt that. Because you still have to follow the speed limit. The last time I checked, the speed limit in most highways is still around max, maybe 70, in some places 80. Although most people tend to go 80, 90 here in Indianapolis. So, yeah, this is the type of stupidity we need to avoid. And again, if you look at the comments, most people aren't really a fan of this. When are these manufacturers going to realize we want inexpensive vehicles, not record-setting super machines? I want a cheap car that can drive 300 miles on one charge and will last 200,000 miles. I want a manual transmission, non-turbo gas, 4x4 truck with manual doors and windows. That'd be nice to have. Started at $14,000. There we go. Now with those numbers, they're trying to sell people a commuter car for $60,000 these days. Before, a junker with a heater was most people wanted as a work car because it sat out on the parking lot all day. There you go. Again, I don't know where the market is for this at some point. It's not going to last anymore. But anyway, let's bring out the lounge. Let's start the stage. Let's get this going here. Let's pop this out. Here we go. Okay. This down. And there we go. I'm going to bring everybody onto the stage. After 1 minute, I'm going to start bringing one more person. So here we go. Last stream of 2023, the last Discord stage. Here we go. M, you're on.
Hello, hello.
Hello there. Welcome aboard. Loud and clear.
I cannot hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly loud and clear. Okay.
It's not coming through on the Discord side.
Okay, hold on, okay, you guys can't hear me. For some reason, why is it coming out green on my side? I don't get this. All right, give me a second. Let me restart the stage. This has been like the 5th time this has happened. Can't believe this. Ah, man. Discord. Restarting the stage. Okay, let's see. Disconnect quietly. Disconnected and talk to myself while trying to get this started. There we go. Start the stage. Eve stream 2. There we are. Okay. Can you guys hear me now? Let's try this again.
Yes, we can hear you. This
Okay.
time. Can you hear?
Yep, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, so going back to the point you made at the beginning of the stream, technically you can drive as fast as you want, as long as the sheriff says it's okay.
Technically, yes, you can. As long as you don't get caught, right? It's never a crime if you don't get caught.
Yeah, but to go off of several of your other points, the different fundings that the different agencies got out earlier this year, I posted the video to Lucid Stew's video that came out earlier today, and how they're still trying to work out the funding for the Texas Central Rail Station stop up in Dallas, and they're wondering whether to put it underground or not. But if Texas Central can work with the Dallas-Fort Worth high-speed rail connection, that can probably get the cost of the station down a lot more.
Yeah, that's a good possibility.
Regardless of whether Amtrak gets involved or not. But if they do and go the private-public partnership way, that would probably be the way to keep that project alive as long as possible. Technically.
And I think a partnership with Amtrak does lend the benefit to at least get Amtrak into sort of a real high-speed rail sort of situation that they'll be operating, or at least helping to operate that project. And it also allows more clout in there, right? Because now there's more of a connection to the federal side to allow more federal funding. Hence, there's a lot more on the line if it does fail. So most of the politicians won't want that project to fail. So it will be kept alive, kept going until. I mean, look at California. I mean, as much as that project has lingered about and not really gone on, because it's a large public project and access to whatever funding they can feel like it is, as ridiculous as it is, that project is still going to happen at some point.
Yeah, and looking at the Amtrak station in downtown Houston, where they get the record amount of like one train per week going to it, it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
And being able to drive past the old Northwest Mall area where the Houston train station is supposed to go, that place really needs a lot of TLC to get back to its former glory.
Yeah.
And since it's basically just across the street from the main rail line, which the Union Pacific uses, it's not too difficult to double track it.
Yeah. It is sad the way things have just fallen, but hopefully, at least with this solution, I'm just, again, cautiously optimistic, but hoping that there's at least a chance for Texas to get back on its feet. Let's go ahead
and plus, even if we go with Brightline's numbers of say $16 to $20 million per track to redo it, and then another $3 to $5 million to electrify it, even if we use the high-end numbers, all right, $50 million to double track, electrify it back, all right, you go from that new station, and then you can go to the old Amtrak station, and all right, now you have a regional service that can go from the downtown out to the high-speed station, and you're there basically in 10 minutes or less.
Yeah.
And such a service would be relatively cheap to ride.
Yeah,
Hey,
that makes sense.
Sorry that I'm a little late.
No worries. Welcome aboard. So I'm bringing, again, anybody who wants to join in from the audience, just come on in. I see some familiar faces over here, so let's invite everybody here. It's last stream of New Year's. Come on.
Yeah, Reed was one of the last ones on last time, so he would be next to speak.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I got some good news about it. Like, they're now talking about a high-speed rail project from Atlanta to Charlotte.
Yeah, that's been. I think with the last the FRA funding for the corridor ID project, I think that was in part of it.
I
Yes,
think
it was.
The folks at Brightline were talking about. That's one that they were throwing around as well.
Yeah, Renell's right. Yeah. Yeah, I do think that that's a good one, and that could be a possibility for Brightline. I don't know. We'll see.
It could be a possibility in our lifetime, like by the end of the 2020, you know, like. But it seemed like, and I'm going to be honest, it seemed like more and more likely it's going to happen because let's be honest. People are seeing what is going down in Florida who live here in the Carolina and Georgia, and they want it. Like, I already said this. Once stuff down there started happening, it's only a matter of time before it spreads to the rest of the U.S. And the airlines, they're not able to stop it this time, you know?
Yeah, I think it goes into that saying, you know, like where they say, you know, if they build it, you know, if you build it, they will come, like that Field of Dreams sort of thing. But it's more of like if they see it, they will want it. So now that people are seeing Brightline and seeing it in action and actually being able to ride it in Florida, now they're thinking, wait, how can we put this and bring this over to our state? How can we bring this into our neck of the woods?
Exactly, and the thing is that the airlines, they tried to stop it. Like, let's be honest, they tried to stop it back in 2014, and they failed because they knew if it happened, they'll be dealing with one of their worst nightmares. Am I right?
Yeah, I do want to. Yeah, I do want to see how that affects. Yeah, I want to see how that affects short haul flights in general between Miami and Orlando. The numbers are probably going to need more time to really set in and see how much damage Miami to Orlando has been dealt with because of Brightline. I would say the only reason that maybe it's not too much is because probably that is mainly used for connecting flights, that somebody's going from Miami to Orlando to connect somewhere else internationally, somewhere through either one of the international airports. But it's seeing it's like, okay, what's the percentage of people who are flying between Miami and Orlando just to actually go to those destinations, and now they're choosing to go to Brightline instead? What's the share of that?
Yeah, and that goes a lot into what I mentioned during the last stream of, like the guy, Mr. Larson, that you read out his comments. Yes, it might take 20 years to build out, and yes, it might take 10 years for the project from its completion to the time it breaks even. Okay, so that's 30 years. If Mr. Larson, we assume that he's going to live to age 85. If he's 55 or older, he's not going to see the end, so he doesn't see the economic value of investing into such a project. But we who are under 55, we not only are going to live to see the project completed, but also see it break even, so we have a more vested interest into it.
Right, exactly.
I think
and speaking of that, they are already talking about the planning from Orlando to Tampa. They're already talking about the planning, meaning probably by next year we might be seeing 2 projects from Brightline. The extension from Orlando to Tampa and Brightline West.
Yeah.
Which should get off the ground next year.
There hasn't been too much chatter about the Tampa project yet, but I'm pretty sure we'll be hearing more about it in 2024. You were saying, Cody?
Oh.
No, I was just talking about how like the boomers' perspective on mass transit generally comes from the viewpoint that they watched mass transit die. You know, they watched as, you know, subways turned into public urinals, and the idea that anything can come good from that to them is just wild. But if we enforce the laws and we don't let people pee everywhere, we can have a functional rail system, I would suppose. I mean, it can't be that hard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And here what I will say, and I say this, like the reason why we want our commuter rail system and our map and rail system is because, one, a crooked government, because let's be honest, all that money to build all the interstate came from the railroad. It did not come from the town. It came from the railroad. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To a point, but it was more than enough to damage railroads enough that they really couldn't recover.
Exactly, and let not forget the Interstate Commerce Commission. Like, let's be honest, if it weren't for them being so heavily restricted, like restricting the railroad, we would probably have passenger rail by now. You know?
Yeah, but it's the amount of regulation and laws that you would need to change would basically eliminate at least 80% of the laws on the books.
Yeah, and generally
And the
most-
ones that you
Go
first.
ahead. No, you go ahead.
And in order to figure out which laws need to stay and which ones need to be updated, you would have to have so many reforms that would not even be funny. And whoever decides to take on that job would lose re-election the first chance they have. But until those reforms are done, we're not going to see the resurgence of any type of either transportation on water or by rails anytime soon.
Yeah, and that makes sense.
And those are the most effective ways to move both people and goods.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter which country you're talking about. It doesn't matter which time period you're talking about, because you deregulate the roads, you get some of the highest amount of truck drivers. You deregulate the airlines, you have the cheapest airline tickets of all time. But as long as
you have increased risk, though. Well,
yeah,
theoretically, you have increased risk. You know, it's kind of a red herring to say that you have increased risk, because you know the CEOs and the companies have a vested interest in making you want to buy more of their product. So you know, getting you to where you want to go in one piece is. Unless you're Hyperloop, which then we can just decompress you and turn you into a fish and shoot you out of a cannon.
Well, until they can find a way to build, until they can either build a space elevator or a, basically, a giant ring to launch you into orbit. The idea of
just rebrand it.
Not coming back to Earth.
We'll just shoot you out like a circus clown. Until where you want to go.
Until you get an orbital ring or a space elevator, the idea of Hyperloop was not going to come back, at least in our lifetime.
Yeah, it was just too. It just
maglev trains. Yes, that's going to come around. From what I've been able to research, unless you're going above 500 kilometers an hour, which is about 310-ish miles an hour, maglev trains just don't make financial sense. And above that, there's no other type of system that'll get you there unless you're flying. So maglev train systems are going to be around. It's just closer to the midpoint of this century, if you're going to be realistic.
Yeah.
Hey guys, red line is Ruben one in.
Yeah, let's bring in Ruben. It's been a while since we've seen Ruben over here, and let's bring in Brightline fan.
Bring in Belgium, Trunk, and Brightline fan.
Yeah.
And let them speak first.
Hello.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Hey, it's been a while. How's it going?
It's going great.
Oh, doing okay. Just living my life. Different job now. Now in training to become a train engineer. Just back from the museum railroads, building railroads, and basic. Yeah.
Hey,
all right. So yeah.
Hey, Ruben, I want to bring up the reason I invited you to my group was to keep you in contact with any news or anything from your country and from here in the U.S. too.
Oh. Okay.
That's the only reason I invited you.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna be a bit quiet. Well, I mean, I've been quiet the past few months just because of my job. Becoming a train engineer. It requires a little bit of your time.
Yeah, I get it, man. It's hard. So As long as you know, hey, we're all here at least for the for the last bit of the year. So that's at least a good thing, right? One good way to end the last year and a good way to start the new year.
Ruben,
Exactly.
Ruben, quick question. Which company are you trying to apply for? Like, when you're going to, which company are you going to become a train driver for? Like, yeah.
He's dead.
Okay, so I'm actually noticing I'm having a bit of few audio issues. I'll be right back. I need to fix my audio issues first.
No
Right?
worries.
Be back soon, guys.
Okay.
All right. You know,
A minute.
And
I do love Ford trying to pretend that they can make an SUV into a train.
I'd like to say something.
Sure.
Go ahead.
You notice how our media always talks about holiday travel every time the holidays comes around, but they don't. They always talk about how many people will drive and fly. No, not trains.
Well,
Well-
it's been for the last like 50, 80 years that our rail systems have just been diminishing, and it's hard to get those back once you lose them because it's really costs
And
a lot of money.
But I think a lot of people used Brightline over the holidays.
there we go. Ruben is back.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when it comes to Brightline, they're going to have to be around for at least 5 to 10 years before their numbers are going to be so public that they cannot ignore them anymore.
Yeah, because you still have that inherent bias from the last several decades where it's just been, you only have, the dichotomy of just drive or fly, right? So now that the deck is starting to change, because the deck is still stacked against, to revisit an earlier point, politically, and I would also say, and legally, the deck has been stacked against trying to upgrade, enhance, or create new passenger rail systems ever since the 1950s and 60s. But now, since the tables are starting to turn, the demographics are starting to change, we're now starting to see that, yeah, and I think you're right. In the next 5 to 10 years, there'll be people starting to talk about, how many people are driving, flying, and riding a train to go visit their family members or visit whoever during the holiday season.
It's okay to make a point.
Sure.
Okay, thanks, So yes, I'm pretty sure even for aviation, I think that they might decrease when it comes to short distance and nearby and routes between nearby states because as you may see in the countries like Japan, France, and Japan, they don't really have any things that flights are between I would say like 300 or 400 kilometers away from Tokyo, and even for France, that I'm pretty sure last week they just banned short distance flights. So in case of that, I think that the aviation numbers might also start to kind of decline.
Yeah.
Not too much, but banning flights under 2 hours is still a bad idea. But to go back to Tobio's question to the Belgian guy, which company were you planning on working with?
I think he said he was having audio issues.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure the question got answered.
Yeah, that was my question. Yeah, that was the question.
He's joining a Belgian one.
Oh.
One of the ones in Belgium.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but there's several in Belgium.
It's a lot more than just Amtrak.
That is true.
Yeah.
I'm kind of hoping Brightline West that they adopt the Shinkansen.
Oh, the
technology.
700 Shinkansen. They sent out a request, and in the video I posted earlier from Lucid's dude said they had 2 companies that were interested. One of them was Siemens
and Alstom.
Yeah, and to get Japanese system one, they would have to at least get confirmation from them in the next probably year or two, because if Brightline West gets their construction going as soon as they want to, which is early next month, that means they're probably going to have to take delivery by the end of 2025, early 2026.
Yeah, I'd say 90% it's most likely going to be Siemens. It's extremely unlikely that we're going to see a Shinkansen system through Brightline. As much as we like it, it's just not going to happen. They already have the contract with Siemens for Florida. It's very likely they'll go ahead and have another Siemens contract for the Brightline West section.
California also plans
I have to
to
agree
do
with
joint
Dimitri
procurement.
on this. I have to
because-
agree with him on this. And with Siemens, let's be honest, I think Awesome lost a lot of customers here in the U.S. with the whole debacle with the Veil Liberty. With all of that, I think they have lost a lot of customers, and I think more likely Amtrak tried to do another high-speed train. They're probably going to go with, Siemens.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the next few years, I'm pretty sure or even in the worst case scenario, a decade, Amtrak might not have a contract with Alstom. So, yeah, think about that.
They are going with Siemens with the Aero trains.
Yeah, but for Alstom,
Yeah.
not really. Yeah, but for Alstom,
But
not really.
I think with Amtrak, with their next high-speed train set that will probably replace the Veil Liberty will probably be a, Siemens, if y'all know what I mean. So we might be seeing Amtrak buy Siemens high-speed train sets in about 5 years from now. Who really knows?
Could be possible, but I think the contract for the Avelia Liberty, I think, is a 25 year contract, similar to what the Acela was from Bombardier. So, I mean, and the main reason why they had to go ahead and update it was because there weren't any parts, or it was end of support from Bombardier for the Acelas. So at some point they got the Avelias, and that's kind of been an issue, but time is tick-tocking away. I don't know, because Amtrak is still a federal company, there could be some way to break the contract or end the contract early on, but it's still a lot of money that was spent on those train sets, so I'm pretty sure they're going to get as much use of them out as possible. I think it's going to be hard to... It's going to be hard to go ahead and go to Congress and say, hey, this hasn't been working out. Can we go ahead and get some new trains?
Like a cooler train.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the previous train sets were forced to be used for the last 20 years with limited repairs to it. So I'm pretty sure they'll want to keep them around for at least 15.
Yeah.
These are government contracts. They don't care about the repairs.
Guys, and you don't even remember the one before, so with the Sumatra liners, which already kind of started back in like 69 and ended like in 88, and they had a 10-year gap, which they increased it like I'm pretty sure the AEM7s and the Amfleet Sumatra liners, so I'm pretty sure Amtrak wouldn't really want to have that experience against, yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
Well, Brightline, is there anything you want to say?
Hold on. Basically, David mentioned I wanted to talk about Tren Maya in Mexico. And Demetrius, I've heard about that project, about that controversial project. So, what's your take on it?
I haven't really looked into it much. I just did a cursory look the last time you did mention it. I can't really tell, or heads or tails of it, if I haven't researched it that much. I'm going to be completely honest about it. It's something I do have to look into it more. It does look interesting, and it's probably something that we should be talking about more.
Yeah, exactly. Some people do not like how the construction, how the process was handled.
Correct me if I'm wrong, it is an Alstom project, right? Or a consortium that's including Alstom? Okay.
Yeah,
that's always been the thing, because I know when I was still in Miami, and when I was working for a lobbyist there, one of the big reasons why we couldn't really push any other sort of form of transportation to connect within the city for the SMART project was because that Mayor Philip Levine had it in with Alstom to put a streetcar. So on one hand, Miami Beach is sinking according to him, and it's going to be underwater before 5 years. And on the other hand, let's build an electric streetcar system that's on street level at the same time. I don't know how that makes any sense, but okay. But yeah, they had an in with Alstom over there. After he was ousted as mayor, that whole thing sort of fell apart of having a Miami Beach streetcar system. Again, it would have been nice, but it's always something screwy whenever, and it's unfortunate whenever Alstom is involved here with the project here in the United States or in North America, there always tends to be something that goes awry somehow.
Well, it's the classic story of government paper projects. We come out, we say we're going to build a really fast train. Oh, and by the way, it might take 30 years, and then because it takes 30 years, they do their initial study, and that takes 2 years, and then nothing happens, and the guy who got it started has already gotten his re-election, so he doesn't care anymore, and then the funding disappears, or any number of things happen.
Yeah, it just becomes more funding for high-speed rail studies.
Oh, but that study was not good enough, so we have to redo the study 10 years later.
Have to do
the same exact thing happened, only we can update the numbers in like 30 minutes, but we're going to bill you for the next 2-3 years.
Has everybody watched the bit from Utopia? That's an Australian show where they go through this entire thing where it's like, oh, well, what happened in the last study? Oh, well, the first study in 1995, well, that said it's an idiotic idea. And then the one in 2008, that one also said the same thing. And so what are we going to do? We're going to do another study.
And
All right,
find out that it's less idiotic than the last 2 times, but still idiotic.
Can I be honest? I did think the environmental studies are so biased against railroads. Like, here it seems, when you do environmental studies, they say, oh, it'll go ahead for highways, but when it comes to railroads, they say, maybe not. Oh, look like you're going to be going through a swampland. No. And, it's okay for the highway to go through the swampland to build a bridge. Like, these environmental studies are so biased against railroads. It ain't even freaking funny anymore, and you can tell.
But don't forget that it's only going to be a 2-tracked railroad versus a full 8-lane highway. But that 8-lane goes on the same exact soil in the same exact swamp. But
we found a certain kind of frog that exists in this 100-yard by 100-yard square, and you can't go around it. So
yeah, I've heard those sort of comments on the EPA studies for anything else that's other than a highway, because when it comes to building a new road or highway, they just build it. But whenever it's some sort of bridge or rail project, there's always some sort of endemic animal that we've never heard about before, that's never existed, that somehow is taking itself down to ridiculous endangered species levels, and unfortunately the decibel level from the train is going to hurt its poor little baby ears and it's going to explode. It doesn't make any sense.
It's only going to hurt its ears for like a few seconds every minute.
Wait, and not
only next 3 consecutive years.
Exactly, forever. The highway will never. It will just keep going forever. The noise keeps going. It will never stop.
But it's 2 decibels quieter.
Yeah, and I actually did hear when I did look at the EPA study for the EIS study for Brightline. There were already several comments talking about how the vibration and noise levels were going to affect marine life. I mean, wait a second. This right of way has been here forever. The FEC still operates freight trains over here, but somehow adding a couple more trains that are not only quieter, lighter, and faster.
All the fish.
Yeah, for some reason, right next to US 1 and another highway in between it. No, come on.
Yeah,
you'll stress the fish out. They'll kill themselves. They'll get mad. They'll start listening there more.
But
most people who work for the environmental studies, they own cars. Like, one thing I learned is that if you have people denying railroads, it's always something fishy, and they're getting paid to do it.
Well, we
let's be
found a
honest-
plot of vulnerable perennial grass, and
Oh, the usual.
so sorry.
Yeah, but if you
Oh,
actually, it's like, yes, this high-speed train that's going by at this exact moment is at its full speed and it's at its loudest point. Yes, it's as loud as an 8-lane highway. For 3 to 5 seconds from you can hear it.
The wind that's coming off of the train might hurt the grass. That's what I'm trying to say. So-
It
Might.
blow
Might.
the tree enough that it will cause it to lean 2 degrees closer to the house.
And that could irreparably throw off the acorns in it, and then that's just gonna screw up the entire population.
Anyway, let's
Wind from a thunderstorm is stronger than a wind from the train.
Oh yeah. Let's do a little lightning round over here. We'll try to cut the show at 9:15, but from everybody around here, and take turns doing this. What's the biggest thing you're all looking forward to in 2024?
Can I go first, actually?
Sure.
Well, to be honest with you, I would see some more progress in TCR for TCR. Actually, I don't know, maybe some some things like some consultants and representatives of Amtrak working with them again, and maybe a new CEO, or maybe even kind of just not an announcement that they're starting a new study or something. So, to be honest with you, that's I'm pretty sure the biggest thing I'm looking forward to is always some more good news for TCI, because as you may know from last year, they're not really in good shape still. So yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. They're not dead, as to say, but yeah, I agree with you. They're not in a good state right now.
Because I would still say, because they're still hospitalized and kind of still in the stage of recently woke up from their coma. So yeah.
That takes it well for you.
Anything you're looking forward to, David?
Well, I'm looking forward to the multiple projects that are going to get started next year, like Brightline West, probably even the Orlando to Tampa, and a lot of commuter rail systems just popping up.
Yeah.
Because I'm just saying that I already know with multi new commuter rail systems that are going to be popping up, you're going to have people who are going to be fighting against them who are going to lose a lot of money.
Oh,
Am I right?
Yeah.
I think that's the. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Can I add one more thing that I'm actually kind of looking forward to next year?
Yeah, sure.
Hopefully, I really mean hopefully, we'll get to have availability at least by, I would say, I don't know, November, December of 24. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be good, but I would just say this, with all the commuter rail projects that are planning to pop up next year, we're going to be seeing a lot of opposition from, car dealerships, insurance companies, gas station and mechanic shop, because let's be honest, and I said it in the last couple of live streams, who would be threatened the most from a commuter rail line or light rail system? Who would be most threatened by it?
I'm pretty sure everyone in kind of related by the auto industry in the area.
Exactly. The auto industry will be threatened by it, and I can guarantee that, like what happened to Brightline back in 2014, you're going to have anti-rail groups trying to protest against this stuff and being paid to stop it. Am I right about that, Demetrius?
Yeah, and the worst.
To an extent, David, the only thing I would say is that it's really been mainly from, I would say, the higher ups at the airlines. I have yet to really see, let's say, Boomer Billy's Ford and Chevy dealership, in whatever, wherever it is. Just all of a sudden just start putting up opposition and lobbying against in the local commissioners' meetings against some sort of project like that. I get your point, but I still want to see it before I can go ahead and say, yeah, I do see, again, absolutely the auto industry is against this sort of thing. You'll definitely see the higher ups at the big three push against these sort of projects, but I don't know if at a local level you're going to see the same sort of opposition that you see from up top. Because what we had in Florida the former CEO and president of American Airlines, bankrolling.
Crandall.
Yeah, Bob Crandall, exactly, Rennell. Bankrolling $1 million to try to kill Brightline at that point. So yeah, it's definitely there. We definitely do have evidence that there's opposition to it from the competitors.
And
to be honest with you, the worst part. Sorry.
The reason why I'm saying the auto NRC here, because here in Charlton, if you go along Highway 17, seeing coming from West Ashley headed to downtown, like in an area, you got a whole bunch of car dealerships left and right, all the way from right as you get into town, right before you get into the city. Like, you got multiple car dealerships, multiple gas stations, multiple mechanic shops, even insurance companies, like, along that road, and a lot of them are big, like, they're big.
Yeah.
So, I know for Charleston, for my home city, if we're going to have a commuter rail system, we're going to have to fight for it. Because we already know our opposition will be the car corporation.
And to be honest with you, the worst part about this group is that it's the ones that are kind of really showing up in the public is kind of, I will say, the boomers that are just constantly saying like, oh, well, this will just ruin the neighborhood and cause so much noise pollution. Well, guess what? Your highway is already causing your highway in your neighborhood is already causing noise pollution. So, and to be honest with you, the train is supposed to be a little more quieter than those highways. So, I don't know. To be honest with you.
Oh yeah, that for sure. But reason why I'm saying what I'm saying, Dimitri, is because there are a lot of car corporations or like car dealerships here in Charleston, in the outer area of the city, that are so big and make so much money. A commuter rail line would threaten their money making. Hell, back in 2019, they would talk about a commuter rail line from downtown to Somerville, South Carolina, and that was about a 25 to 30 mile long line, and it was going to be on Norfolk Southern tracking, because there are already train tracks that come from downtown into Somerville, and it got shot down to the ground, and they say, oh, we can do that with a BRT. Look, I know the reason why they're doing it with a BRT, because let's be honest, buses are a band-aid on car infrastructure. They are the transit band-aid of the transit community. And the car company, they know this. They know that, and they said, if we would be screwed if we had a commuter line from downtown to Somerville.
Yeah, to a point. And BRT has its place. But it's not a replacement for rail.
Exactly. And saying it, instead of going with the light rail, or not light rail, but heavy commuter rail, they shot that down to the ground and said we could do that with a BRT along one of the crappiest and worst highways in Charleston. Right. And adding a bus lane to it. Like,
anyway, let's move the conversation back to where we're back on track over here to what we're looking forward in 2024. Who wants to go next?
I do. Yeah, I was going off.
Sure. Go. All right, go ahead, Grand Trunk.
May I go after him?
Yeah, sure.
I am looking forward to multiple projects like Brightline West, some of Amtrak's corridor project, like Chicago to Peoria, Chicago to Scranton, but not Chicago to Scranton, New York to Scranton.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
What I'm looking for 2024 is Brightline West. They're going to be opening just in time for the 2028 Olympic Games.
Oh, that'll be pretty cool. Yeah.
All right.
And then also,
Renell,
speaking of Brightline West, yeah, I'm sorry, I was trying to say this earlier, and is it okay if I talk about this kind of for a few minutes? No?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I had something.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Wait, hold on. Let's let Renell speak first, and then we'll get back to that.
Okay. Thank you.
Circle
Yeah,
back.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to it. Brightline West and some hopefully a project will happen in my neck of the woods. Uh, if you've seen the renderings of California, some of them were Shinkansen trains. Did you see that?
Weren't those the older renderings from before?
Older. They're
Yeah.
older.
Okay.
Like as much as we had hoped that they plan to do like joint procurements according to a recent video I seen.
Yeah, that would have been Lucid Stew's a video that he posted earlier today. I think I posted that in the videos section.
Okay. Let's go back to Tobia. What you were saying before.
So yeah, about Brightline West, I don't know. To be honest with you, I could just see a lot more potential than just a high-speed rail line between Las Vegas and Los Angeles. So until a few days ago for my winter vacation, I actually went to Vegas with my family, which was pretty nice to be honest. And I don't know, just looking at all the, just spending most of the time on this trip and just seeing, just spending time there. And I don't know, I just felt so much potential between in the court. I just felt so much potential in this project that could happen to the city of Las Vegas. Like it might even get better than that. So I don't know. I just think that Brightline West could be a really big game changer than more than just being the first high-speed rail line in the U.S.
May I add something?
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure.
Can't wait to see. At least I'm looking forward to see what Brightline ridership numbers when they release them for January.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that gonna be good.
Yeah.
That gonna be good, everybody. Am I right?
Yeah.
It'll shut up a lot of people who say rail is overrated and outdated.
Yeah, because
and
they've
all
already
these
broken records last quarter. I'm pretty sure this quarter will be no doubt another record-breaking quarter. It's just will be cool to see as time goes by to see how the ridership adds up as people get used to the service, because it's just the initial start in and break in for the service. People aren't still yet used to the idea of being able to take a train from one city to another here in the United States. Now that that's here, the word of mouth gets around. And I've honestly seen a heck of a lot more billboards. And even when I was at the Fort Lauderdale airport, I saw plenty of advertisements and electronic advertisements for Brightline. So it's out there. People are starting to know about it and talk about it. If you talk to random people on the street, they'll know about it or something about it. So it's only a matter of time before it becomes a part of the culture within South Florida and Central Florida.
Yeah, and also
speaking of that,
oh, sorry, and not only that, but many more people advocating for interstate trains between interstates and their corridors. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
speaking of that,
David,
I was going to say that Amtrak actually about to break even. So they're actually going better than pre-pandemic levels. So Amtrak actually is probably going to break even next year.
Oh yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah, because I remember back in 2019 they were supposed to break even, and then the COOF came in and basically took that out of commission. So yeah, let's see it for this year, for 2023, 2024, possibly Amtrak making its first positive profit. Yeah, break even profit. We never know.
Yeah, and first read.
Okay, anybody who wants to go next?
If no one else, then I'll.
Sure.
I'm looking forward to is the different rail projects in Texas, and hopefully they can all work. They're built out at the same time, so if we can get it working right, it's then you're getting the entire Texas Triangle hooked in together, which is like 2/3 of all the population in Texas alone. And that alone should put the last nail in the coffin of rail is dead in North America.
Or rail doesn't work. It does work.
Oh yeah, but we do got an uphill battle. We do got an uphill battle. Like literally, there are so many companies that are not rail that will be devastated by rail that will be going against it. So we got an uphill battle here. It's not over with yet, but we are sure not going to give up.
Yeah, once you get the high-speed rail section done with that just alone, that gets the urban areas hooked in. If you get a intra-city rail for the main regions around each metropolitan area, that's the majority of East Texas connected into that system. You then connect Houston over to Baton Rouge. You have Dallas Fort Worth up to Oklahoma City, and then over to Amarillo area going out west, and then down towards
Denver.
So you can go across over into Mexico down that way. Then you're starting to really turn Texas into the next major rail system, as well as the web system that can work out of the Chicago area and bring that.
If they went into Mexico, then they would go to Mexico City.
Yeah, and Train Maya is hopefully going to work its way up to Mexico City, hooking up all of South Mexico into that system. So if you can hook Texas down into Mexico City, now all of a sudden it's like you can go from, say, Dallas down to Cancun all by rail.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, and even from
Oklahoma City, the good news with that too is that the Mexican government is giving the Class 1s down to Mexico alternative, either run passenger service or the government will be taking over and doing passenger service for them.
Yeah, and the thing, going back to Marjorie's point, I think that not only that, but from Oklahoma City, you can even potentially go for like in Chicago, St. Louis, Detroit, and even to be honest with you, Toronto, Canada. So, and then we have it the whole cross of North America rail corridor, and I don't know. I think that would be really interesting to see, and maybe maybe even the future of North America for both passenger and freight travel. So, yeah.
Okay. Last word before we headed off for the new year.
I'd like to see some competition on the Northeast corridor.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
And
we'd like the expansion of passenger rail across the U.S. again.
Yeah, if you do what they have in Europe, where you have several major rail lines and then a few like cross systems, like Yugo that's out of Iberia and France.
Yeah, like adapting the Spanish model to the Northeast corridor. That would be very interesting to see.
Yeah, it's like $25 you can get a bus, or for like $29 you can take the rail, and it's much faster, and you don't have to worry about the stops, and it's a nice bathroom, and you can buy snacks on there. Yes, the snacks are overpriced, but you don't have to pay overpriced food.
I mean, we'll see, because at the rate that the average car price is going up at this point, that's really what's going to be the kicker when it comes to if rail becomes if rail becomes the standard. The average price right now must be probably about $45,000-$50,000, somewhere in between there, for the average car, which is ridiculous. And with these electric cars, which are pushing $70,000, $80,000, $120,000, that's just, and also government officials trying to mandate those electric cars to be the only thing that can be on the road. That's just going to kill basically anyone who isn't high, well, I shouldn't say high, but like mid-range six figures. You're talking about the 200. You're talking about the doctors and the lawyers and the whatnot to be able to drive a car.
That's a 3-hour rant on me for just the electric vehicles alone. But
And then on top of that, you have to kick in the maintenance, the fuel charges, the insurance rates. Which, if you're moving down to Florida, wait till you start to learn about the insurance rates down there and how much they cost and why. But to get back to it, it's because again, our generation we're starting to see and I get it's not all boomers, but it's just kind of interesting that for all the travel that generation has done, and I've seen it from some of them that they have said when they've gone to Europe that it makes sense. But why haven't the majority of them have come to that point at some point and say, hey, look at what they have in other countries from all our travels. Wouldn't it be nice to bring this for our kids and for ourselves, at least for a bit of our lives, to have it here in the United States? So
The thing is that when you have all of that money and things are super cheap, when the average car was like $20,000, none of that matters. So you don't think about it. You don't care about, hey, should we install all of these railways to future-proof against something that, we're never going to get there. And now that they're retiring, they definitely don't care. They don't care about anything because it's retirement time. It's time for me to buy an RV. I don't care about railroads. I don't care about planes. I'm going to drive around all of America and sip mojitos. Screw the next generation.
Wait, may I add this?
Go ahead.
Demetrius said in a previous stream when you have competition between rail operators, it wouldn't lose money. Everybody makes money.
Oh, that's true.
Well, they need competition.
It happens in every single industry as long as there's multiple true competition and not monopoly or an oligarchy. You basically get better service for a lower cost and more reliability, because every single time it's been a monopoly, either government-controlled monopoly or government-approved monopoly, it's always ended up worse for the consumer.
Disaster.
Yeah.
But
We're not talking about a duopoly.
Yeah, but you have to have true competition. And
that's the thing is that there's not a market for the competition yet. So, but hopefully there is. Hopefully we'll see that competition, and then you'll see private investors want to hop on board once people can't buy cars anymore, and once they're living in apartments because we're going to a financial crash headed there pretty quickly. You'll see people want to use a train. You'll see people who want to...
Don't get me started on the financial side. I have to daily.
Anyway.
A lot in this generation are going to be pretty much scrambled when it comes to local travel. So you mean the buses are very ineffective? They stop like every 300 feet. And
they don't bother taking fares. They don't bother being safe. So when you have the option to take any kind of travel that's going to be safe, that you're not going to have to deal with a homeless person peeing on your shoes, you're going to take that option.
But that's the city experience.
It's the garnish on the city delight.
I just love living in the city.
It's the cherry on top of the shit sundae. Yeah. It's perfect. You have to experience all of the dirtiness. I mean, I was in New York City just the other day.
Oh no!
I swear to God, the second I get into the subway, there's human crap on the ground. There's big, giant.
I need to tell my New York store
right there.
But it's in my New York store back in 20.
Oh man! Oh
What
man!
they did with San Francisco.
Back
This
in
was two human dumps, two separate human dumps, about 4 feet away from each other, and everything smells.
All right, this will turn into another stream about how much New York has fallen and how much we hate going to New York now.
Yeah, before we go,
my New York story right here. I become I was coming from the Hudson Tunnel, right off I-95. Guess what was the first thing I seen out when we got out of the Hudson Tunnel, coming into New York? Guess what was the first thing we seen?
Crap.
I don't know, a man taking a poop.
Nope, cannibalism. We literally seen cannibalism. We literally seen a dead pigeon.
Oh,
Pigeon.
Yeah, what a wonderful place. But see, that's the thing, is that people are not going to get on the train until that's no longer an issue. Until
It's a thing.
people taking a dump on you isn't a problem anymore, because that's just unacceptable. And I think if we get to a point where the cars are too expensive, you have to rent because the property's too expensive as well, people are just going to revolt and say, no, we're not going to get onto any of these. We're not going to get onto these public transit systems. We're not going to work. The country's just going to fall apart. You have to clean up. And we'll see change. It just takes time.
Yeah, but before we leave, let's let Ash take the last thing and what he's looking forward to next year.
Oh yeah. Ash, you can speak now, bud.
What are you looking forward to in 2024 for infrastructure rail? Okay. We'll just leave it at that, I think. But yeah, for anybody who's still living in New York, probably within a year, you're probably going to have to ask somebody with an eye patch to get you the heck out of there, because that's where things are going there at this point. It's time to get out. But
invest in a boat and then just go down the coast.
Yeah, just get out of there.
2024. Do we balkanize New York City in 2024? Is that the solution? We just let it float into the Atlantic?
I guess. All 5 boroughs have to sink.
I see that the future of Escape from New York is pretty much unfolding.
Yeah.
And I know the lie with Lake Pliskin. When you think about it, in world context and in local context for New Yorkers, it is very touching. Okay.
Let's end it on a good note. We're all looking forward to Brightline West, hopefully next year. Let's see some more news on Texas and all the other rail projects. That's a good thing. But guys, thank you all for coming on board. This has been wonderful. Happy New Year. I'm going to fill up some more eggnog before it goes away.
I'll see you next year.
All right, guys.
See you next year. Awesome, guys.
All right. Absolutely. Take care, everybody. All righty. God bless. See you all 2024. Okay, so that's gonna. Goodbye. Take care. Happy New Year. So that's gonna end it here for us, folks, on this wild ride here. Ending 2023. We are now going into 2024. My, how the ride has gone in. I hope some of you who have been taking a drink every time somebody has said, in all honesty, or any sort of that form, I hope you have not died from alcohol poisoning. We do want to see you in 2024. We do not want you in Hyperloop status. So please, everybody, take care. Stay safe tomorrow, because New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, pretty crazy times from the road. So watch where you go. Be careful. Defensively drive. Until we get a train system for most of everyone else in the U.S., it's just the way it is. So thank you all for coming on board and joining us and being with us here in 2023. We will see you all in 2024. Godspeed and take care. Good night.